Introduction to JDBC. So in the last session, I have explained about the embedded SQL, dynamic SQL, and cursor concept. Now here we'll see how we can use JDBC to connect the database or to connect application to the database. Before going to this JDBC concept, you need to understand like how embedded SQL will be processed. Okay, what are the queries we include in the host language, how these SQL queries or the statements, SQL statements will be processed during the execution. Okay, so first thing is here when you are using embedded SQL, you have seen you'll write the block with the exec SQL, and in this exec SQL block you will put all the SQL statements. Now the thing is, a high level language, that is the host programming language, the statements which are related to host language will be processed or compiled by the host compiler. And how you will convert these SQL statements which are embedded within the host language. So for that we will be having a preprocessor. Okay, that preprocessor will convert the SQL statements into function calls. Okay, which can be the DBMS can understand those function calls. So like that, it will convert the SQL statements to function calls, database specific function calls, and then these function calls which are associated with your application program, and also the statements which are written in host language or like a general purpose programming language. So everything will be associated or it will be combined by the host compiler. Okay, so function calls and the associated programming construct of host language will be executed by the host compiler. So here we need preprocessor to translate the SQL commands to function calls, and native compiler or the host compiler must be there, and that will combine the function calls and the host language statement. Okay. The problem here is you need a preprocessor. Separately, you have to identify what is the SQL statement and what is the host language statement. Now, in another way to embed the SQLs or to use the SQL in your programming languages, that is, you can use the APIs. Okay, instead of embedding the SQL statement in the host language, you can use the APIs or the library functions. Okay, so APIs, what happens when you use APIs? Like here, no preprocessor is required. Okay, whatever you write, whatever SQL command you write, that will be checked or compiled during the runtime. But if you go for embedded SQL, it will be like static. Okay, it is static. But if you use APIs or runtime, it will check the syntax of all SQL commands. And there is no preprocessor. And what we have to do if we are going for API means we need to add the library functions. Okay, we need to add the library function which can which can be used to create the database calls, which can translate the SQL statements to function calls. Now there are two different approaches we are using, that is open database connectivity, in short it is called as ODBC, and Java database connectivity, JDBC. Okay, these two enable the integration of SQL with your host language. Okay, so to integrate the SQL commands in your host language, we can also use open database connectivity or Java database connectivity. What actually these two will do? So this will expose database capabilities in a standardized way to the application programmer through an application programming interface. As I said, through APIs, it will connect to the database. Okay, here it will use the API. API means application programming interface. Through that, it will directly connect to the database. And this will be done during the runtime. It is dynamic. Now we'll see the database like JDBC connectivity. Like here we have ODBC and JDBC which are DBMS independent. That means you can um, you can access any database. Okay, you can access any database. It is not specific to a database. That means you can have an Oracle database or Sybase, or you can have MS Access, okay, or DB2. So like that, you can have a different databases. So such databases can be accessed using a ODBC connection or JDBC connection. Now, how these interactions will occur, like how it will happen. Now, interaction takes place using the specific to here database, whatever database you are using. For that database, you have to create a API. Okay, using a specific database API or the system calls, you can connect to the sources. Okay, so database can also called here as a data source. Now how you are going to connect to a specific data source? So for that we have to use the drivers. Okay, specific drivers we have to use. As I said, it may be Oracle or Sybase or DB2. So to connect to that particular data source, we need a specific driver, database driver. Okay, so this driver, it is a software program which translates this system calls, which may be JDBC or ODBC. So these systems calls will be translated, or it will be converted to DBMS specific system calls. Now, who is responsible for this conversion? The database driver is the his database driver is the responsible person in this uh, scenario. Okay, so JDBC or ODBC system calls will be translated to DBMS specific system calls. Okay, through your database driver. It may be JDBC driver or ODBC driver. So that will translate the system calls into DBMS specific system calls. Okay, so whatever SQL commands you have written in your application, that should be it should be in the understandable format, so that your database can understand and it can give you the results back. Okay, so that conversion will be done using database driver. Now here we'll see what all the components we have in the application. Okay, if you are using JDBC connection, then how what are the components we have and how they interact with the database. The first thing is Java application, where you are writing all your programs. Like it can have your host language and SQL statements, and it initiates and terminates the connection with the data source. So here you need to write the statements to connect to the database. Now the next is using API, JDBC API, you will execute the SQL statements. Okay, so this will allow you to execute and call the data retrieval commands. And then the driver manager. So what is the role of driver manager here? It will load the driver, like for specific data source you need to load the corresponding driver. For example, Oracle means you have to load the Oracle driver. And here if it is MySQL, again for that which driver is required, the corresponding driver it has to load. So that is the job of driver manager. It loads JDBC drivers and pass JDBC function calls from the application to the correct driver. Okay, and then what these JDBC drivers will do? So these JDBC drivers will communicate, or it will interact with the data source. You can see here directly you cannot access these data sources. So how we can access? First through API we can access this, but this API will be it will be sent to your driver manager, and driver manager will load the respective drivers. Okay, and then it will pass this function call to this driver, and this JDBC or any drive ODBC or JDBC whatever. So that will connect to the data source. Okay, it will interact with this data source. So this is the architecture. These are the components in the JDBC. Okay, application, then API, driver manager, and drivers, JDBC drivers. And these are the data sources. And now we'll see what are the different types of JDBC drivers. Uh, in general, we have 4 types. In some nomenclature, they will say there is 5 different types, but according to your syllabus, we have only 4 different types of JDBC drivers. Okay, the type 1 JDBC ODBC bridge driver, then type 2 native API driver, type 3 network bridges, and type 4 pure Java driver. Now we'll see one by one. Type 1, it here if you see the type 1 driver, so what actually it will do, here for example you have MS Access, you're using MS Access for data storage. Okay, now it is not compatible with your JDBC. Okay, it is not compatible. Now what we have to do, we have to bridge that gap, right? How it can connect to the MS Access? It is not compatible with your Java language. So what we can do, we can use a bridge driver. So it will translate the API to the native driver. Okay, it will translate this to native driver, and through that we can access the database. Now, type 1 bridges translates JDBC function calls into function calls of another API that is not native to the DBMS. Okay, here we are converting the API. Okay, here whatever function calls we get from the application, that will be converted to another API which is not native to the DBMS. And then, example as I said, MS Access. Okay, to retrieve data from MS Access, then you cannot use the JDBC driver. Instead of that, we will use the Open Database Connectivity. Now, an advantage of this type of drivers, that means it allows access to almost any database. Okay, using this, you can get the connection to any type of database. It is not database specific. Okay, you can access any type of database. But the disadvantages are this driver software, it is not written in Java. Okay, it is not written fully in Java. That's why it is not portable. And here it leads to poor performance because you need to first it will send to this JDBC ODBC bridge, and from this it has to move to ODBC driver. Okay, and then you can access the underlying database. That's why it will take a lot of time to fetch the information. Okay, so here it is leading to poor performance. Then client system requires ODBC installation to use the driver. Okay, so in client machine you need to install the ODBC driver. That is the type 1. Now we'll see type 2. In type 2, we will have a native API driver. Okay, here no translation required. It will, one second. Am I audible? Okay, fine. So here it translates JDBC function calls directly into method invocation of the API of one specific data source. Okay, here there is a direct translation from system calls from your application to the database specific function call. Okay, so this will be done during the runtime. Runtime it will check, okay, so which database it has to be connected, whether it is Build or Apple or MS SQL or Sybase. So depending on that, it will translate the API to this DBMS specific function calls. Okay, since there is no intermediate drivers here, the performance will be better compared to type 1. But disadvantage is the database driver that implements this API, it needs to be installed on each computer. Okay, wherever you have an application, there you have to install the driver. Okay, what actually it does is directly it will check with the data source, and according to the data source, it will use the or it will translate the APIs. Okay, so there is no intermediate drivers here. Directly it will convert to the database specific function calls. Then type 3, network bridges. Here we'll use application servers or the middleware in between the drivers and data source. Will be having the middleware or application server. Okay, so here this uh, the driver will talk to data sources via the application server. So how it will communicate? First it has to go to the application server, and this application server translates the request to the different data sources. Okay, so here translation will be done at the server side, application server side. It's like a three-tier. So application will be there in your client machine, and in between you have a server, and then it will talk to your database. Okay, so data may be stored in database server, data server. Now communication will take more time. That is the disadvantage. You can see here traversing the record set may take longer because it has to go through application server. And here we need to put the or we need to add the server application, right? So separate system we have to configure as application server. That is again another disadvantage. But what is the advantage in this approach? One is portable driver. Why it is portable? Because here, see, whatever you are writing, that is in the JDBC, the Java language specific. Okay, so you can use it in any system or in any platform. It can be used. You can access different uh, kind of databases. It will support all kind of databases. And another advantage is it supports caching, load balancing, then advanced system administration. Okay, and it is flexible, means it can be used to access multiple databases. So only one driver will be there, and using that driver you can access different types of databases. In earlier cases, what happened in type 2 and type 1, you have to use the DBMS specific drivers. Okay, if it is like you want to access data source 1, what is the type of DBMS you are using, according to that you have to install the driver. Okay, but here using only one driver, you can access different types of databases. That is the advantage. And why it is called network bridges? Because here the driver will communicate with the middleware using the network protocol. So different protocols, because here your these two will be communicating to the internet, or it is like using different network protocols it will communicate. That's why it is called as network bridge. Then the fourth one, that is pure Java driver. In this, instead of calling DBMS API directly, the driver communicates with the DBMS through Java socket. Okay, through Java socket, it will communicate. The driver on the client side is written in Java, but it is DBMS specific. Now here what we are actually doing, say in the earlier case, we are using the DBMS specific drivers in client machine. Okay, so whatever driver it is using, that we are installing. But in pure Java driver, even though it is DBMS specific, that entire software is written in Java itself. That means your JDBC driver can directly translate the system call. Okay, so directly it can communicate. No need of using native database specific drivers here. Simply it can translate the system calls or the calls, whatever SQL you have written, so that can be directly converted to the APIs and which are specific to your database. Okay, so here in the third point it says it translates JDBC calls into native API of the database system. Now since it is written in pure Java, it is portable, and also the performance will be good because direct contact, right? Directly interact with database. That's why performance is good. But the disadvantage here is user needs a different driver for each database. Now in this case, for each database, you have to write the drivers in Java. Okay, so every different databases, you must have a separate drivers, but all these are written in Java only. That is the pure Java driver. Now next we'll see what all the classes and interfaces we have in the JDBC. So when we say Java database connectivity, it is a collection of classes and interfaces. Okay, Java classes and interfaces. Why these classes and interfaces are required? Because to enable the database access from programs which are written in Java language. To enable database access from programs which are written in Java language, we need Java classes and interfaces. So these Java classes and interfaces are included, or it will be combined in the JDBC. Now, what all the methods we have? Okay, what all the methods we have in JDBC? We have methods for connecting to a remote data source, executing SQL statements, then examining sets of results from SQL statements. Like each query will return multiple rows, right? So how we can examine, or how we can view that result, or how we can handle that result. For that we have different methods, and then transaction management, exception handling. So these are the different features, and for these features, we have a separate methods which are defined in JDBC. And all these classes and interfaces are these are included in the package called java.sql. So in this package, we have the classes and interfaces for JDBC and the different methods of these classes. And then the next is, what is JDBC driver management? Like what it will do. This is the second step actually in your JDBC connection or accessing the database. The driver manager, like as I said, driver manager will find out the specific driver to connect to the database. Correct? So here you can see data source drivers are managed by the driver manager class. There is a class called driver manager in JDBC which is used to manage the data source drivers. It will have a list of all drivers and then which is loaded at that time. Presently, what all the drivers are loaded. So that list will be maintained by the driver manager. And also it has methods to register a driver, then deregister and get drivers. Okay, so these are the methods in driver manager class. Mainly we are using this driver manager class to load the specific drivers. Now in the JDBC connection, when you are using JDBC connection for database access, the first step is connecting to a data source. Okay, using for that we need a driver, and the first step is we need to load the driver. So this code, the next statement, it says how we can load the JDBC driver. So class dot for name, this is the function which is used to load the specific driver. Okay, so here actually we are using Oracle database. That's why here the name given as Oracle driver. So depending on the data source, you need to load the data source drivers. The next is, after loading the data source driver, the next step is we need to establish the connection. Okay, so whenever we need to access or we need to connect to the database, it will be connected through a session. We need to create a session, and each connection identifies a logical session. So whenever you create a new connection, it will create a new session. Okay, and how we are going to connect to the database, or how we can establish the connection. For that, we need to specify the JDBC URL. JDBC URL means here we will specify the word JDBC and then your database name or data source name, and then if you are using the particular port number, so that parameter, so the port number you have to give in the URL. And then the driver manager has method called get connection. So this get connection method will return the connection object. For this get connection method, we need to pass the URL. As I said, URL can be written like this, your data source name and the other parameters. Then user ID and password. So these three parameters you have to send or you have to provide to the method get connection. Okay, so if it successful in establishing the connection, it will return the connection object. Now in connection class interface. What are the methods we have under this? We have get transaction isolation, set transaction isolation. So these are used or these will these are used for the current connection, it will get or set the isolation level for the current connection. And similarly get read only, set read only, it specifies if the transaction in the connection are read only. And then get auto commit, then set auto commit. So all these are used when you are using the transactions. Okay, if you are implementing a transaction, then you can use these methods. Then is closed. Is closed method, it checks whether connection is still open. Okay, so just you go through these different interfaces which are there in your connection class. The next step is executing the SQL statements. See, first you have loaded the driver manager, then you need to establish the connection. Once connection is established and connection object is written, then you need to execute the SQL statement. There are three different ways of executing SQL statement. Those are statement static and dynamic SQL statement. Then you can use prepared statement. Here it is not fully dynamic or not fully static. It is semi-static SQL statement. Then callable statement. Under callable statement will have a stored procedure. That means during the execution, you need to invoke these procedures or you need to call these procedures using the procedure call. Then prepared statement, usually prepared statement we will use in the application. Prepared statement class, it has like a precompiled parameterized SQL statement. Okay, it will provide precompiled parameterized SQL statement. Here, the structure of the statement or like what all the parameters you need to pass, that will be fixed. Okay, you're in the dynamic SQL, you have see you're giving the SQL or you're providing the SQL statements when you're executing the application. That's why it is dynamic. But in this prepared statement, as I said, it is semi-static. That means you know what query you want to execute, but the values will be passed or the parameters will be provided at the runtime. Okay, so generally we use prepared statements in the application. Now this is one of the examples. Here, insert into Sailor's value and 4 question marks we have mentioned. What is these question marks? These are the placeholders. Okay, it will take the value which you provide when you are executing the program. Okay, and then uh, prepare the statement by using prepare statement method. Okay, and here you pass this string, and this string contains insert into Sailors and values. So this entire string is given to prepared statement method. And here you can see con is the object, connection object. Using this connection object, you're calling the method. Okay, now using this, the prepared statement, first we'll clear all the parameters and then we'll provide or we will pass the values. One means the first variable. Okay, so this is the first argument or the parameter. For this, I'm assigning the SID. SID will be given as user input. Okay, SID you have to enter. So whatever user enters for SID value, that will be passed to the first parameter here. Okay, and then the second one, S name. So S name will be added to the second position, and rating for the third argument and age for the fourth one. And here you can see set in. Why we are using set in? So we assume SID is integer type. Okay, and name is a string type. Rating is integer. Age is float. Okay, depending on the data type, we can use the set method to get the input from the user or to return the values to these positional parameters. Okay, here just we are inserting the values, we are not fetching any result. So that's why we will use execute update command. Okay, execute update method we will use to check how many rows are affected. Okay, so this will return the number of rows affected. Then the next is result sets. See, in the dynamic SQL and embedded SQL, we have discussed about cursor concept, right? Cursor means if you are dealing with multi-set data, then to fetch the individual tuple and then to move to the next one, we are using cursor concept. Now in JDBC, we have a separate concept that is called result set that is similar to your cursor concept. Okay, it is similar to cursor concept. Instead of using cursor, we use result set in Java programs, which are used for database applications. So first you need to create an object or you just create a reference of result set, and this result set will have the it will point to the result of this query. See here we are using execute query. As I said in the previous we have used execute update, and here we use execute query. Execute query is used if you are fetching the result. Okay, if you are fetching the result, that means it will return multiple rows, right? So in that case, you have to use execute query. If you are inserting or if you are deleting or if you are updating, then it won't return any tuple. Instead of that, it will say query okay or number of rows affected. In that case, you can use execute update. Okay, you can use execute update. Now here I'm executing the query. That means I'm fetching the result. Now RS will point to the first row in the result set. Okay, first row in the result set is pointed by RS. And using while loop, we can use rs dot next to move the cursor or move the pointer to the next tuple and process individual tuple. Okay, so like this we can use result set in JDBC when you are accessing the database. Now, how we can match the data types of SQL and Java class? Here in SQL, if it is with means, in Java it is Boolean. In the result set method, we have to write get Boolean. See, you have seen when you are passing the parameters, then you have used set int, set float, set string. Okay. Now, if you want to get the values from the result set and you want to assign that to a host language variable, then you can use like get string, then get double, get int, get float, get time. Okay, so these are the methods used to uh, get the values from the result set, and that can be assigned to a variable, host language variable. Now here host language is Java. Now these are the steps in JDBC for database access. first you import all the classes or the interfaces from java.sql. Okay, so import java.sql package which has JDBC classes and interface. Then load the drivers. For that we'll use class.forName, and here we specify what is the um, data source. Okay, what type of data source you are using. That name you have to specify. See, class.forName is used when your data source is Java compatible. Okay, if it is running in Java virtual machine or if it is using JDK, then you can use class.forName. Otherwise, if you are executing your application in Windows platform or some other platforms, then you have to use the driver manager method for loading the drivers. And then define appropriate variables. After defining the variable, create the connection object using getConnection method. Once connection is established, then create the statement object. You have seen like prepare statement you are writing. Okay, then pass the parameters. Okay, what are the parameters you have to pass? Just check where you have put the question marks, and for that question mark you have to bound the program variable. You have to pass the variable value. Then execute the SQL statements. If you are fetching the result or if you are executing select query, then you can write execute query. Otherwise, you can also use execute update. Then using result set, you can process the query result. Okay, so these are the different steps in JDBC database access.